Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Welcome to the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Arianne, and today I'm going to first be talking about clutter. And first of all, I'm going to let you know that in some ways, clutter can affect your physical and mental health, your relationships, your career, and sometimes your finances. So that's the first topic I'm going to talk about. Now, I just said first like 2 times, sorry. Next, what is clutter, first of all? Most of us, when we hear the word clutter, we think of the inside of maybe a hoarder's home or one of your family members' basements who just has a bunch of junk from forever ago just stored down there just everywhere, right? Well, in fact, clutter is just the accumulation of more possessions that can fit into an available space. So it just looks like clutter because it's in a tiny area. If you had like a larger area and it could all fit, maybe like in a museum or something, it wouldn't really seem like clutter unless you're just collecting old newspapers for zero reason at all. I don't know the point in that. Or I know some people like collect magazines or weird things like that. But anyway, like I said, I'm going to be talking about how it can affect your physical and mental health, relationships, career, and finances. So the first thing, I don't remember how many things I had. I think it was like 8 or 12, something like that. It can affect you by increasing your stress. Now, according to a study it's called Personality and Social Psychology, it's a bulletin. According to these people with cluttered homes full of unfurnished or unfinished projects are more depressed, fatigued, and have higher levels of stress. Now, I feel like they're a little bit more stressed because if you have unfinished projects just all around your house, of course you're going to be able to see all that and just kind of look around, and just that kind of just reminds you that you didn't either have a chance to finish it or something stopped you, or maybe you just kind of gave up and you're like, I don't really feel like finishing that. And then it kind of just reminds you that you weren't able to. So that sometimes makes people depressed or brings them down a little bit. Also, seeing a lot of unfinished projects in your house can make you feel tired. I remember I look at the sink in my kitchen, and if there's a whole lot of dishes, I'm just like, I so don't want to do those right now, and then just go take a nap. So and then come back to it later. Eventually it gets done. But yeah, stuff like that. If you see it and it's just a whole lot, maybe it's a little overwhelming, so you just rather do anything else. And then you kind of get in that mindset where you're like, oh, I don't want to do anything. This is it. There's where you get depressed, tired, fatigued, and then more stressed because you got to you're thinking about that it needs to be done. Trash needs to be taken out, dishes need to be done, floor needs to be swept and mopped, or stuff like that. You got to pick up and move things around and just kind of make things look decent. So that's one of the ways clutter can affect your stress levels. Another way is bad for your diet because clutter is stressful for people. They are more likely to resort to coping mechanisms, such as the most common coping mechanism is comfort food or overeating. So that is bad for your diet because you're not going to want to sit in a cluttered area and want to cook. I know I hate cooking if the sink is full of dishes, or if I haven't put any dishes away and all my pots and pans are in the dry rack or the dishwasher, and I'm like, I don't want to put those away, but then it's like I have to cook. I have to get all these out. Don't even want to do it. Let me just go buy a burger. So that's how it can be bad for your diet, because you just don't want to cook and clean up or do anything like that. So you just go buy unnecessary, unhealthy foods, or maybe you just eat something simple like a microwave dinner or ice cream and cookies, stuff like that. So it can be very bad for your diet in that way. It can also trigger respiratory issues. So cluttered homes often contain more dust, which can cause or amplify breathing problems. And it also creates, like, as things get more piled up and then more compact, like all together, it creates an environment for dust mites and maybe sometimes pests. So because it's harder to clean in those areas, you know what I mean? You can't, like, you're not about to just vacuum and then move everything around if you're just, have a pile of stuff cluttered up. You're just going to vacuum in front or go around it, and you're not going to get in between or behind even. So that's where a lot of the dust will pile up. And then, like I said, it's a perfect environment for pests, to just be there and hide. Spiders, roaches, what else? Rats, mice, So yeah, and because it's an area that dust mites can build, that's what's going to affect the breathing problems. Like if you have asthma, bronchitis, stuff like that, it's where germs and all that collects in the air and you're breathing that in. So that's how it's going to affect your respiratory. So be careful with that. And I'm an asthmatic, so I know I have to keep everything clean, dusted, because it does affect, especially if you live like on the West Coast where it's dry. You already have to deal with dry air. You don't want to have to deal with extra things in the air if you can help prevent that. So that's one of the things. And then if you're a smoker too, don't smoke. That doesn't help anybody. But yeah, that's how it triggers respiratory issues. Another way that clutter is not very healthy is there's a safety issue there and safety dangers. Like excessive clutter can be a fire hazard. If it's like, let's say you have lots of newspapers, magazines, picture frames, stuff like that. Anything that could catch fire easily. It can also be a hazard, like if things are stacked or piled up around doorways and windows, and they can also cause injury. Like if you can bump into it, hurt your arm, bust your toe on it, you can slip and fall. Objects could fall on you if it's like piled up super high. So there's definitely a safety issue with clutter, because what if something does happen and your house, I don't know, you have to exit the house in an emergency and one of the doorways is blocked, or you can't get through a window for a reason, stuff like that. You want to be able to have like clear exits, for you to get through and for other people to get through. Also, you don't want things piled up super, super high, because they do have a chance of falling. Or if you, that drawer that everybody has in their kitchen where they just throw like every miscellaneous thing in there, like mail, old keys, change, even batteries. What else is in there? Just everything, if you have something like that, and you just end up putting it like on top of your fridge. I know I used to throw a lot of my mail on top of my fridge and then forget about it. And that's not smart, because then you forget to pay your bills. But yeah, my envelopes would pile up on top of my fridge and, fall over. And if your home is like a lot of homes and your fridge is near your stove, that's not smart either, because that paper can fall onto your stove, like especially if you're cooking or something. That's not safe, because it could catch fire if it's a gas stove, or it can get in your food, stuff like that. So it's just not healthy or not safe to keep things like piled up, or in areas that you can't get through, exit areas, passageways, like hallway door frames, stuff like that, windows. So that's just another way that clutter can affect your life. Another thing is it jeopardizes relationships. Seriously though, if there are other people who live in a home with clutter, it can have a negative effect, a negative impact on their lives, especially like kids. Can you imagine? My house growing up wasn't super cluttered, but it wasn't clean all the time either. So I never let when my friends would say, oh, let's go to your house, I'd be like, no, let's just play outside kind of thing, So I would never invited my friends over. We weren't even allowed to have sleepovers, but still it was like, I'm not going to bring one of my friends into like a house that's cluttered and then them go talk about it or something like that. Spouses who live with someone who collects things or likes clutter around tend to fight more often, and they're more irritable. First, I want to say, if your spouse likes to collect things and is one of those people that has clutter, please talk to them about it. Don't just, not have a say in it if that's your spouse. It's like you live there too, keep it clean, or unless you guys are both comfortable with it. I mean, having clutter does impact your stress levels. So, of course, there's going to be more fighting. People are going to be more irritable. So that's how fights escalate, because you're just short with each other. Be able to talk with each other. Kids who live in clutter usually have elevated levels of stress or distress. They're also less happy and have more difficulty making friends. It's like I said before, I would never invite my friends to my house. And what kid does? Like, most kids want to play outside, but at the same time, they like to have sleepovers. Friends like to come over. Oh, can we come inside? I know my daughter, she has a little friend who likes to come over, and they like to go upstairs and play in the room. Of course, the door has to stay open. But they're like, oh, we're playing upstairs in the bedroom. See, and if they have a dirty bedroom, most kids don't care. But still, it kind of gives kids this, what's it called? They don't really like people to talk about how their stuff is. So it gives them a little bit of a complex there. So I will say probably the only area in my house that's super cluttered is the bookshelf. Seriously though, my sister is what is it called? The president of the Friends of the Library in our area. And she gets a lot of free books. And then when she does like book fairs and stuff like that, she can take some home. We like to go to the library. She has like $5 gift bags and full of books that they give away. Now, a better way to collect books is with Audible. And with Audible, you can access an unbeatable selection of audiobooks, including bestsellers, motivations, mysteries, thrillers, memoirs, and more. The great thing about this is right now, there's a special offer for a limited time. You can get 3 months of Audible for just $6.95 a month. That's more than half off the regular price. So give yourself the gift of listening. And while you're at it, think about giving the gift of Audible to someone on your list. For me, that would be my sister, because we both love to read. Or, we're also the type of people that are always on the move. So we'll be able to listen to these on the go. For more, go to audible.com/GSMC Health or text GSMC Health to 500-500. Again, for more, go to audible.com/GSMC Health or text GSMC Health to 500-500.
What happens to your decision-making when you drink? Well, after one drink, you feel confident. A few more, and calling your ex at 1 a.m. seems like a great idea. And you're pretty sure the secret to a great taco is 4-day-old macaroni. The bottom line, drunk you doesn't make great decisions. So you're risking a DUI or worse if you count on him to get you home. Plan before you party. Get home safe. Brought to you by Washington Target Zero.
Welcome back to the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. We're going to continue talking about clutter and how it can have a negative effect on your life. We're going to move on to isolation. It can be isolating. If your home isn't clean, you are less likely to invite people over. I know that because I used to be one of those people, not with clutter, but if I had a dirty house, whenever I have a dirty house, I don't like to invite people over because sometimes I just don't feel like cleaning at that time. And even if I was comfortable with you, I think my best friend would probably be the only person I would not care about coming over to my house if it was a mess. But a survey of homeowners said that if they lived in a cluttered home, they just simply wouldn't invite people over, like at all. They would just meet them somewhere else, maybe at their house, at a park, a public location and stuff like that, which is understandable because nobody wants to invite people to their house if it's full of clutter because like in your mind, you're just going to sit there and be like, they're probably just judging me right now, which might be true. And nobody wants that feeling. It's not a very positive feeling. I do want to say on the flip end of that spectrum, isolation could also go in the other direction. If your home is too tidy or clean or neat, that can also cause isolation because a lot of people who are like clean freaks or like germaphobes, stuff like that, if their home is like too tidy, if they might have a slight case of OCD, myself included, you don't want people coming over because they're going to mess your stuff up. You don't want to clean up after them. Maybe you don't like germs, so you don't like people, or you just don't want them touching all your stuff and moving things around or just being in an area that you just cleaned. So I do want to say that on the flip side, having a too clean of house could also it could possibly have you feeling isolated if you don't like to, invite people over in that sense. Now, some of the reasons it can affect your career. If there's no control in the environment you live in, people say that you could use your career as an escape. This actually happened to me before. Like, I hated being at home, not because it was, it was cluttered. It was cluttered with a lot of people though. I used to live in a place where it was like a 2-bedroom duplex, and it was like myself, my 2 kids, my best friend, her kid, her brother, his wife, and then they went and had like 8 kids. So with all these kids and people at my house, I just did not want to be there. So I never wanted to come home from work. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to just stay late. It's cool because I also get paid overtime and I don't have to go home. Or I would always like go to my sister's house. But yeah, it can affect your career. You just escape to your work. If your house is disorganized, it can like leak into your work life, like your desk area at work. If you work in an office job, maybe your desk is cluttered and unorganized. Having a messy work area or an unorganized briefcase, purse, or anything like that can impact your job performance and even prevent you from promotions. Now, the reason why I say that is because there was a study done on CareerBuilder.com, and they showed that 28% of employers are less likely to promote someone if they have messy work areas, which I can understand, because if you have a messy work area, no employer wants to be like, oh yeah, that guy's got his stuff together, let's promote him. No, they're going to think that you're all over the place, you're unorganized. It's just not a positive career move if you aren't going to, have a messy area. So just think about that. And how it could affect your work or career. This also decreases productivity when your work area or school area, like book bags, stuff like that, is cluttered. It has an effect on your ability to focus. Like, say you're digging through your book bags for papers. My daughter is the worst. She has papers piled in her book bag for no reason. Like 3 weeks ago, papers that were already graded, and I'm just like, chick, throw those away. You do not need them. Things like that. You don't need stuff like that just cluttering up your work area or your school area, book bags, lockers, like clean out your lockers. There was a research that was done that showed having a clean work or school environment will help you be more productive, less moody, and better able to process information because you'll be more focused. You won't be digging through your book bag for a pencil or your desk at work for an assignment that you had to get done to turn into your boss, anything like that. You know what I mean? So keep your areas clean of clutter because you will get more things done. And the last thing here is it encourages bad spending habits. One, like I said, the food you don't want to clean, so you just go and buy like fast food, stuff like that. And another way is if you can't find things that you know you have, but you can't find them, you'll just go out and buy another one. And then what always happens to me is if I can't find something and then I just go buy another one, like a week later, I always find the first one. It's ridiculous. So you get duplicates of everything. You misplace your bills. I also talked about that, putting all my bills on top of my my refrigerator. So your bills don't get paid. I've been there. I do not do that anymore, I should mention. Again, if food needs to be prepared, instead of cooking it, you'll just go buy fast food. And sometimes you're just spending money on all the things you think you need. To save, like old magazines. You're like, oh, I love this magazine, and then you just keep it. Why do you need it? Or another thing is like little trinkets that you buy because you just collect them. You don't need things like that. Continuous spending will keep you in debt, so that's how it affects you financially. A few simple ways to keep clutter away. One rule I always use, and I think I heard this from my sister or somebody, said, if you don't need it, if you don't love it, and if it doesn't make you money, get rid of it. I love this rule. I use this rule when I go through my kids' rooms to throw out toys or just old clothes, even my own stuff. Again, if you don't need it, if you don't love it, and if it doesn't make you money, then get rid of it. There's no need in keeping it around for what? Just get rid of it. It's just clutter. There's no need. Buying things as you need them. Now, instead of like buying 5 packages of AA batteries because you think you might need them in the future, just buy one because that's probably all you need right now. Or papers or like notebooks. If you think you need like a bunch of notebooks because you will use them in the future, just buy one for now. You don't need to have a whole pile of notebooks waiting to get used, or a whole thing of pencils, stuff like that. Just don't buy multiples of everything just because you know you're going to use it. Just buy what you need at the moment. Try and keep your home, work, car, whatever organized, because if you keep it organized, excuse me, it won't be super cluttered. If you're holding on to something just in case you might need it in the future or you think you might need it, ask yourself when the last time you needed it was. When was the last time you used it? I do this all the time. I'll keep something and I'll be like, oh, I might need that in the future. What if something happens? I might need that. And I hold on for it for like 2 years. And for what? For no reason. But then this also happens. I throw it away. And then like a couple weeks later, I'll be like, oh, I had one of those, but I threw it away. So that also happens to me. But if just think, if it's over like 6 months that you haven't used it, maybe even a year, then just get rid of it or give it to somebody who can use it at the time. And then if you need it later, just borrow it back real quick. But yeah, that's a thing that I used to do a lot, is just keep things because I'm like, oh, I think I need that later. No. When it comes to clothes, be realistic on why you keep them. This I'm going to speak directly to women. If you keep a hold of like your prom dress, your wedding dresses, special outfits, like I know these are special gowns, and you really think of when you're going to wear them again. And don't think of the things like, oh, I want my daughter or my niece or my little girl cousin to use it when they go to the prom or when they get married. It's a family heirloom, all this stuff. Guarantee by the time your little cousin or your daughter or your niece is at that age, that style is going to be out, and they're going to look at you crazy if you tell them, I want you to wear this dress of mine. They're going to be like, no, that is not the business right now, and I would get laughed at if I wore that dress. So just think about that. Men, old tuxedo suits that are not worn but like 2 times a year, if that, you can let them go, donate them, or sell them, make some money off of them, whatever. But if you have like a tuxedo that you only wear to church on Easter, seriously, why are you holding on to that? Like, pick one suit that you'll wear every Easter. I know a lot of places do like fashion show Easters or like holidays. Come on, you guys don't need to have 16 different suits so you can wear one each year to eat for Easter Sunday, like for the next decade. That's unnecessary. Kids' toys, if they're not being used, donate them, sell them, give them to a kid who could use them at that time. Or if there are any toys that maybe like a grandparent or other family member gave them, maybe just keep 1 or 2. Like, my kids have like little toys that I've kept of theirs that their godparents gave them, but just 1, or like a blanket, something like that. If it's sentimental, if it means something to you, yeah, but if not, they don't play with it. They just want it there because it's theirs. Throw it away. That is so unnecessary. Speaking of toys for kids and, giving and all of that, since it's this time of year, the best gift I could suggest is Audible. Now, with Audible, you can access an unbeatable selection of audiobooks. Bestsellers, motivations, thrillers, stuff like that. So, and the great thing about Audible is their audiobooks, and they store in like your tablet, your phone, any kind of device. Now, right now, for a limited time, you can get 3 months of Audible for just $6.95 a month. That's more than half off the regular price. Give yourself the gift of listening. And while you're at it, think about giving the gift of listening or of Audible to someone on your list, or maybe like a niece or nephew, a kid. Get them to start reading more, or even listening, following along. For more information, go to audible.com/GSMC Health, or text GSMC Health to 500-500. Again, for more information, go to audible.com/GSMC Health, or text GSMC Health to 500-500.
What happens to your decision-making when you drink? Well, after 1 drink, you feel confident. A few more, and calling your ex at 1 a.m. seems like a great idea. And you're pretty sure the secret to a great taco is 4-day-old macaroni. The bottom line, drunk you doesn't make great decisions. So you're risking a DUI or worse if you count on him to get you home. Plan before you party. Get home safe. Brought to you by Washington Target Zero.
Welcome back to the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. We're talking about clutter in this episode. And what I was mentioning before the break was ways to kind of get rid of some clutter. And I left off on kids' toys and stuff like that. And I mentioned men with some tuxedos or their favorite pants. Women also with favorite pants and prom dresses, wedding dresses, things like that. I do want to say that if you don't feel comfortable giving your items away or just throwing them away, then sell them for a reasonable price. Remember that they are used items. You cannot sell them at full price as like what you bought it from 10 years ago or 5 years ago. That, just a reasonable price is great. There are plenty of sites that you can sell your slightly used clothing on. So I do want to, at the last of this show, I'm going to mention a few things that I used to collect. And you guys are probably gonna think I'm super weird, but I used to collect first. I remember I used to collect key rings. Don't ask me why. I just like would collect any size key ring, and then I linked them all together for like, it almost looked like one big long chain of key rings. Like it was so long, like you couldn't even swing it like a jump rope because it was so long and heavy. I don't even know what happened to all those key rings. I don't even know if I still have them. Yeah, I have no idea, but I used to collect key rings. Weird, I know, don't ask why. Yeah, I was a kid when I started doing it. I used to collect old keys. Don't ask me why I did that either. Oh, you know what? I do know why, because when I would find keys, I thought it was super cool when I was a kid to see people like having their own house key or their own car key. And then I liked the sound of the little jingle when like people would get their keys out their purse or something like that. So I was like, I want my own keys. I didn't have my own apartment. I didn't have my own car. I was a little kid, but I wanted to feel like a grown up. So I started collecting random keys that I found and like made them like pretended they was my house key or the key to my bedroom, even though I had to share a bedroom, stuff like that. I used to collect little alien figurines. I do not know why I did. I thought they was super cool. And like little keychain that looked like aliens, or I don't know if you guys remember those iron-on patches. Yeah, anything that was shaped like alien, especially with those iron-on patches. I had a lot of those. I never put them on my clothes though. I never ironed them onto anything. I just kept them for no reason. I know a lot of people collect mail. I used to collect mail, remember, on top of my refrigerator. Yeah, I don't do that anymore. Holiday decorations. I know a lot of people who collect holiday decorations to the point where each year they have to decide which decorations they're going to put up. They'll be like, should we use the blue ones this year? The purple ones? The red ones? It's ridiculous. Keep one set of, I know, like to switch things up, but this is a once a year holiday. So it can be the same for every year. It's not that serious. I know a lot of people who collect holiday cards. Now, I do collect holiday cards depending on who they're from. My grandmother collects every holiday card given to her. I do not know why. I collect holiday cards. Like I used to keep the ones my sister would send me because she lived out here in California and I lived in Utah, and every year she would send me a holiday card and my nephews would sign it and it was super sweet. So I always kept hers just for that year. And then dead flowers, like bouquets of dead flowers. I had a habit of doing this. So the first bouquet of dead flowers I kept was, I think I want to say 14-ish. Maybe 13-ish. But I used to babysit this little boy. He was his parents were my pops, his friends, and I just kind of knew them growing up, so I would babysit their kid. And that couple ended up getting married, and she gave me her bouquet at the wedding. So I got to go to the wedding. So I kept that bouquet, and she's the one who told me, she's like, if you hang them upside down, they dry out and you can keep them for like ever. They won't like go all sad and die. But you do kill them, they're dead, but they stay stiff like that. So if you hang them upside down. So that's the first bouquet of flowers I ever like kept. And then I kept one from like my mom's funeral, one of my auntie's funerals, my grandpa's funeral. I even had my bouquet, not my bouquet, my what's the thing that goes around your wrist for the ladies during prom? That thing. Anyway, I can't think of the word right now, but yeah, I kept that from my prom. Don't ask me why, because I didn't even like my prom date, but I kept that little thingy. And I know somebody who used to collect empty perfume bottles, just because the smell, she would open them and she could still, it would still have the scent in there, and the scent would remind her of something. So she kept a lot of perfume bottles. My grandma collects salt and pepper shakers. She has a whole rack of salt and pepper shakers. I don't know why. She has them in one of those like fine china cases, and she keeps them there. And she doesn't even use regular salt and pepper shakers like in real life. She gets those ones that you like can turn and it just kind of crunches them up all over your food. She uses those and then she throws them away. And I know a lot of people actually who collect shot glasses and don't even drink. Like my sister collects shot glasses. She doesn't even drink hard liquor like that. Yeah, but I know a lot of people who do still drink and who collect shot glasses, and they just have a plethora of shot glasses to choose from when you go over there to like chill or have a drink or whatever. But yeah, those are some of the things that I have collected and some of the things that I know other people have collected. So on that note, please just, understand that clutter is not very healthy for you, mentally, physically, emotionally. It can have an effect. So keep your areas clean. It doesn't have to be like spotless, but just a little tidy, and clear would be like perfect. So thank you so much for listening to this health and wellness podcast. Join me next time. Join me next time. Thanks.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Health and Wellness Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.